In 1996, so the same year you guys formed, you started recording demos. I believe there's two different demo tapes that were released. How excited were you guys to have recorded music? Because it's one thing to tell people how good you are, but to be able to just physically hand them music that's undeniable, that's like a huge step forward for a band. And what opportunities presented themselves once you guys actually had music that you could put in someone's hands that they could listen to?
Well, okay, so for instance, we didn't have the internet or nothing like that. So you had to have like some kind of like demo, a lot to like book shows and stuff. So you had to like send, physically send a demo, and some guy had to sit there and press play on all these things and kind of toss them, I can only imagine. But when you make these demos, then you can get booked and all that. So that was kind of like you had to send like a press kit, a picture, a little bio, a demo tape. And a lot of times you could just set up a little ghetto blaster and press record and get like in your rehearsal room, or you might have like an acoustic guitar and sing, whatever it could be, just your best attempt to like sound legible. And I guess if you could make a demo tape, then you were kind of like one up on the just anybody else. So, because it was, to record, especially even like to record shitty quality, it was like you had to like find someone that had like, it was just, it wasn't what it is today by no means. And it's so crazy to say because it doesn't seem that long ago considering, and
Kids these days, they just don't know how good they have it with
I
the
know
technology.
I can't believe how I sound, but yeah, it's the truth, and so like to be able to do that was like a big deal, and to have our buddy, our buddy, we called him Chunk, Mike Van Diest. He was the one to get us into the studio. It was a studio called Moon Song, owned by a guy named Bob Moon, out here in Riverside. Bob was kind enough to let us get in there and just kind of like, he was the main guy recording, and Chunk, Mike Van Diest, he was his engineer. And so it's just like studios do, they let the engineers kind of have some, playtime. He brought us in there to record, and so we were like just stoked. And we had with Brother Vibe, we had recorded with Rich Mauser, and same with Color Red. So we had recorded in like, on 2-inch tape, and really, really nice and quality product, I mean, once you got done. So we were like just stoked and knew what it was like to make a really, really buff sounding recording. And so when we went in there and did this like ADAT stuff, it sounded great for like, what it was, but it just wasn't the same, level, just campy. But all the gear that Rich Mauser had compared, I mean, and don't get me wrong, the Moon Song, there was great stuff done, but we just didn't know how to do that stuff like kind of with that stuff. It's like we just kind of go to somebody and they press the buttons and it sounds cool. So as we were getting in there, we were getting it together, and it was starting to sound cool, but like those ADAT, they sound kind of boxy and stuff. So anyway, so we got it together and we were all decent. We knew how to record. We were tight players. We rehearsed really well, or a lot, and to record the songs really well. And it was decent. And so we got it done, and it was for free. I think we paid like $50 or something like that. It was, or $100 to Mike for his time. And we spent the time, and it was crazy. I remember like Dry was delivering pizza and had to like get off in time to come and do the vocals. I mean, it was just we were trying to get this, but as we were doing it, because we hadn't played any shows, we were just rehearsing. So we started recording a demo before. So just doing that was like way more professional from the start. We never thought to do that. Like, you know what I mean? You just form bands and break up before you even do anything. So we were already recording and getting like really, really good quality out of it. And we're starting to hear the songs like unravel, like really, really come together, like really hear them, and it just was like exciting. And so once we had that tape together, we were playing it for friends, and friends were digging it and blah, blah, blah. And so then we go, okay, well, let's go play a show. So we played a show, and then we started taking that first tape and going and doing just like playing shows and selling it. But I remember I would go and like give that away. Like I'd go like to like the beach, and I'd have like a backpack, and I would just go like see people that are skating, or people that looked like kind of people that might like our stuff or whatever. And I would just give them our demo, just for free. Just here you go. Like, I don't know. And some of those people, actually listen to it. And when I show up at shows, like, man, I remember I met you. You gave me like some tape, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of cool that worked out. But once we had that tape, we started sending it off to different places. And we sent it off to this place called Coconut Teaser in LA. And this guy, Len Fagan, he listened to that tape, that demo. And he would listen to a bunch of different stuff. He's like a pretty popular dude, like, out there, and he had been in bands, and he's kind of like a, I don't know, like a gatekeeper or whatever, out there. And he liked us and liked the demo and had us come out and play for him, and he loved it, and he just took us under his wing and just coached us and taught us a lot. But that demo tape got us in that door, you know what I mean, to where he could listen to it and take a chance and invite us out to do that. So we went to the Coconut Teaser, and then he invited us to do a residency there, like to come play like every Thursday. And you'd get there. I mean, I'm telling you, like back in this time, for us to drive to LA from Riverside, we'd have to get off work or whatever. We had our shitty cars that were barely like, running and stuff like that. You'd get to LA, trying to find parking was good luck. And we were getting parking tickets like crazy out there. Wrote a letter to the city because I got like three in like a month. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot pay this. You know what I mean? Like, and I said I paid it. My grandmother paid it for me. And I wrote this letter like during the Unabomber going on. I'm like, sorry for my vicious parking assaults on the city, like just like the Uniparker has struck again, but it's like, God, like, it's like, what can I do? They're just taking all my like $30 a ticket at the time. We get out there, we're not getting paid, and you play like five people, you know what I mean, on a Thursday night. And we're just like sit with them and he's like, it's gonna be good. You gotta like build this up, just play like you're playing to 5,000 people, like just don't think about it like that. Just think bigger and just like really coached us and really got in our heads in a good way. He started bringing people around, like people that he knew in the industry. And so we started taking meetings and it's like, wow, stuff's starting to happen. We're meeting with people that actually have done stuff like, he's worked with so and so, he's worked with so and so, blah, blah, blah. So he finally brought in Jim Wirt. He had done like the Incubus record and at the time Science, and he was doing like a lot of different stuff, and we were just like stoked, we had liked that the Incubus record. And
It's a great
so
album.
yeah, I mean, it was awesome, you know what I
And it's
mean?
so
So
unique sounding, right? Like just nothing sounded like that at the time.
it was an awesome record and debut record for a band. We were just all stoked on them, and for Jim Wirt to show interest, so he came to the show, liked us, and he invited us to come record. And we're like, wow, this is so cool, So we go there and we went to 4th Street and started recording. And so the second cassette tape that we did were 4 songs that were that we did with Jim Wirt there at 4th Street in Santa Monica. So that was again because we made that first demo, we sent that to Len. Len brought us in to showcase, there to nobody really, but then people started coming. So Jim Wirt showed up, and then we go to 4th Street. That's where we make our Love Songs demo. We were just recording songs, trying to write songs, with Jim. He was producing us. We were starting to work and learn how to work with a producer. We're really, really learning a lot right there. I mean, because we were just so raw. We knew how to play riffs. We knew how to like kind of we thought we knew how to write songs, but we were like our idea of writing songs was how weird can we get?
That's a good starting point.
Right? You know what I mean? It's like, we win everybody over like that, but again, we were musicians. We were fascinated by Mr. Bungle and bands like that, and just everything that was hard to play and that was avant-garde, the Melvins and all those kinds of bands, it was like how challenging, and even coming from like death metal and speed metal and thrash and all those things, it's like good musicianship, challenging, kind of weird. Yes, we loved like Nirvana, which is obviously, just great songwriting and all that stuff and sensible and all that stuff. But, that was that. And then there was like all the other rad, shred stuff. And so we were trying to like figure out how to do, which just sounded scatterbrain, you know what I mean? Like, when you try to do that stuff and it's like you think it's cool, but it's really just what it is. So Jim was kind of like guiding us, and kind of shaping us and just teaching us to pay attention to certain things that hey, there's some quality parts in here, like let's focus on this, let's make a song out of these parts. So we started learning how to play the game, not even play the game, but just to craft songs, you know what I mean, to do what it is we're trying to do. And you get so scared, I guess, when you're at that time, and especially at that time, but at that age too, it's like you feel like you're kind of you don't want to do pop and this and that and all that other stuff that's like selling records, and what you think, what they want you to do is what you think, you know what I mean? You kind of lose, just because you avoid it so hard, you lose the beauty and the artistry of writing a good pop song or something like that. So you're not even interested in it. It's just like, no, we don't do that, or we don't want to do that. We don't want to be like them. You know what I mean? So but you don't realize it as a musician, you know, what good songwriting is. It's not because whatever. Anyway, I don't want to go, it's all subjective, I guess. But anyhow, at the time, Jim was showing us how to like, you know, kind of think of songs and how to really, really, you know, craft songs. So that was important and focus on melodies, you know what I mean? And give Dryden some space to, you know, have some melodies and like and have Dryden really, you know, not have to wait so long to kind of like, you know, into the game, you know, and all this kind of stuff. It was perfect timing for us and we learned so much and he shaped us, you know, forever in our DNA, as with like, you know, a lot of other bands, you know, but he definitely is in our DNA. And you know, at that time we did those love songs sessions and we were doing a bunch of songs there at that time. And so those went on to be on Greatest Hits, you know. So at the time we did those love songs, 4 songs, just to get it out there, another cassette, 2 songs on each side, you know, and a little banger. And of course, we're already starting with, you know, calling it love songs, you know what I mean? Because we, at the time, it's like, you know, you have all these bands that are heavy. We didn't want to be so meathead heavy. We loved heavy music, but we didn't want to be another heavy meathead band or something like that. So we were trying to be a little bit more elegant or, I don't know, sissy or something, you know? So we did that. And then, and we were continuing to record with Jim. And so as Jim was getting busy and doing stuff, like we had all these demos that we had done and songs. And then we just were like, well, we want to finish a couple more. And we had our friend Miguel who was letting us get into this other studio. And I know I've told this story before. I'll try and keep it short, but we were sneaking into another studio across town that we could go into and touch up some of the sessions that we were doing with Jim. So we were taking our reels and going over to this other place and putting them up. And then Miguel would have this studio, it was like a Latin studio, and there'd be a session that was like off limits. You could not touch the board. And we would go in there in the middle of the night and reset everything. We'd take notes on where everything was set on the board, you know, big ass board, all these dials and this and that, and knobs. And so then we'd go in there in the middle of the night after everybody's gone and work through the night. And then at the end, in the morning, go back and have to twist them all back, you know what I mean, to where they were best we could. And then Miguel would just like drive around the corner, come back when his boss was there, like he showed up for work again, you know what I mean, and get through the session, you know. So he was just such a saint for doing that, such a champion for us. But so then we started doing that. So that collection of songs became Greatest Hits. And at the time, you know, Jim was just getting busy. And so we were just like, man, like we want to do a record. We want to finish a record. Nobody was really biting. We didn't have any nothing. So we're just like, well, we'll just put out this CD and call it Greatest Hits, you know, and we'll put it out on Chick Music and it'll just be that, you know. And so it was just we took those 4 songs from Love Songs, put those on just with the rest of it. And yeah, that was that.